From The National, this is Trending Middle East. I'm Yasmin Al-Taji. It's Friday, the 4th of July. Here are today's headlines. Authorities in Damascus are capturing high-profile figures from Syria's former Assad regime. The campaign gathered momentum last month, sparked partly by popular anger over what's been perceived as the government's neglect of the issue. The new government, led by Hayat Tahrir al-Sham's head, Ahmed al-Shara, has been focused on consolidating power and dealing with challenges to its authority in outlying areas, as well as securing financial resources. The National explored the Syrian government's hunt for Assad military loyalists. Here's The National's Khaled Yacoub Oweis with more.
So the task or file of the capture of former regime figures was not top on its priority. However, popular anger has been rising about the lack of attention by the government to the capture or to the pursuit of these figures.
Since June 21st, authorities in Damascus have announced the arrest of 7 men who were either security officers or militia leaders. 4 of them are Alawites, while the rest are Sunnis. Despite mass defections from the regime following the 2011 revolt against the Assad dynasty, many Sunnis remained in the security apparatus.
The authorities have revealed very little about the circumstances in which they were captured, but various sources, security officials in the new Syrian state, diplomats, regional security officials, and other local and regional sources say that Wasim al-Assad, a distant cousin of Bashar al-Assad, and a figure who was involved in the narcotics trade, especially Captagon, was captured with the help of smugglers whom he himself employed when he was a major Captagon trader and head of a major drugs cartel in Syria.
U.S. contractors guarding aid distribution sites in Gaza are firing live ammunition and stun grenades at Palestinians rushing to get food. That's according to a report from the Associated Press based on testimony and videos. The American staff work with the U.S. and Israel-backed Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, or GHF. They guard its aid distribution centers that have been the site of several deadly incidents and controversy. The AP said it spoke to contractors for UG Solutions, subcontracted to hire security personnel for the sites. 2 American contractors told the AP on condition of anonymity that their colleagues regularly use stun grenades, pepper spray, and bullets against aid seekers. The National's Jihan Abdallah reports from Washington.
Violence surrounding these aid sites began really on day one, when dozens of Palestinians were sent to the hospital with gunshot wounds. I asked about this issue in the White House briefing room and elsewhere, and the response I got was quite defensive, actually, disputing that violence was happening at all, which was surprising given the fact that there was ample video evidence, as well as personal accounts, verified accounts of people saying that, look, we were being shot at indiscriminately while trying to get food from these aid locations.
Thousands of starving Palestinians typically gather near these aid distribution sites. The scenes have been chaotic, turning deadly as people rush when gunfire is heard. Since its launch, several rights groups and international bodies have condemned the GHF. Just before it was set to make its first distribution, its initial head resigned, citing practices conflicting with international humanitarian principles.
The Trump administration has been quite secretive about the details of the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation. The little bit that they have said was that this was a quote-unquote creative solution to the problem. And the problem is twofold. One is mounting evidence of famine in Gaza, and 2, Israel's presumed insistence on not allowing any aid and food and supplies in Gaza.
Israeli authorities have previously denied soldiers fired directly at desperate civilians seeking aid at GHF sites.
One of the problematic aspects of the GHF is the fact that they are only operating 4 distribution sites to serve presumably 2 million Palestinians. And so what we've seen are thousands and thousands of people walking from faraway places, lining up to get food. And these are people who have been on the verge of famine for months now. But even more problematic is the location of these sites are close or beside or in the vicinity of military no-go zones, Israeli no-go zones. And so the Israeli army has said that they have fired at people who have approached those areas.
The Gaza Health Ministry says at least 549 Palestinians have been killed while waiting for food aid near GHF distribution centers since they began operating late in May. Business activity in the UAE's non-oil private sector grew in June, but demand slowed due to the Israel-Iran war. That's according to the S&P Global Purchasing Managers Index for the Emirates, which analysts say demonstrated, quote, solid improvement, unquote, in the sector's overall health. Where the index stands now, it's well above the mark that separates expansion from contraction. But at the same time, the level of new orders growth was the weakest since September 2021, S&P said on Thursday. Here's the National's Deena Kamel with more.
So what the report is basically showing us is that companies in the non-oil private sector of the UAE have shown a slight improvement in business during the month of June compared to the month of May. However, business conditions last month have seen a minor setback during the end of the second quarter of this year. And the report attributes this to the drop-off in demand because people are willing to spend less. And all of this is happening because of Israel's war with Iran, which has disrupted sales during the month of June. This means that companies are seeing a slowdown in demand during the month of June and are therefore reporting a slowdown in new orders from their customers. And all of this is driven by the heightened geopolitical tensions in the region as the Israel-Iran war erupted and lasted for 12 days.
The 12-day war between Israel and Iran began on June 13th when Israel attacked Iran's nuclear and energy targets. It rattled oil markets and led to rising concern about energy security. Shipping companies continue to operate through the vital Strait of Hormuz, although Iran threatened several times to close it.
Now, if we hone in on Dubai specifically, and of course, as we all know, Dubai is the Middle East's business and financial hub. It is a regional tourism hub where international visitors flock to the emirate. We can see that companies in the non-oil private sector are reporting a deterioration in business activity, and that has dropped off to the lowest level in nearly 4 years, and is driven by a slowdown in sales growth. And the report does attribute that to the Israel-Iran war.
Gulf countries were also on high alert for radiation levels and potential retaliation from Iran after the U.S. bombed its nuclear enrichment facilities. But the Gulf Cooperation Council's crisis department said states found no unusual activity. That's all for this morning's headlines. You can get these stories and follow live updates at our site. Yasmin Al-Taji, The National.